On October 13, 2025, something extraordinary shook the astronomical world, leaving experts scrambling for answers or quietly averting their gaze. An interstellar object tracked for months emitted light pulses in a sequence that defies natural explanation. 58130, a Fibonacci sequence, the mathematical signature of the universe's design. Coincidentally, or perhaps not, this anomaly occurred on the 108th anniversary of the miracle of the sun at Fatima, Portugal, when tens of thousands witnessed the sun dance in the sky in 1917. Now on this same date, an object from beyond our solar system pulses light in a pattern tied to the golden ratio, the very blueprint of creation. Suspiciously, NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory went offline for maintenance, and our best Mars imaging system has been down since October 1st, conveniently long enough for any inconvenient data to vanish. Tonight we're diving into what could be the most pivotal chapter in the 3i Atlas story, or the most elaborate information leak to prepare us for something we're not ready to face. Whatever's unfolding hidden behind the sun where we can't see demands your attention. If you keep coming back to this channel, hit the like button and ensure you're subscribed. Only 30% of our regular viewers are subscribed, so double check you're not missing future updates. Drop a comment with where you're watching from and the local time. I love seeing our global community connect. Today's cosmic bombshell: Fibonacci pulses on Fatima's anniversary. Let's dive straight into the heart of this claim because it's audacious enough to demand a measured approach just to voice it aloud. On October 13, 2025, researcher David Sarita published an analysis asserting that 3i Atlas, now tucked behind the sun from Earth's vantage point, emitted light pulses in the Fibonacci sequence. 5, 8 to 13. These numbers echo through nature's designs: the spiral of a nautilus shell, the branching of trees, the arrangement of seeds in a sunflower. They embody the mathematical essence of phi, the golden ratio of 1.618, the proportion that weaves efficiency and beauty into reality's very weave. Sarita, who has tracked 3i Atlas via his hyperdimensional solar system model, insists these pulses map to distinct celestial realms in his paradigm. 5 signifies Earth. 8 denotes what he terms Planet 591, a hypothetical world, orbiting between Mars and the asteroid belt. And 13 points to the virtues, which in his model aligns with an entity he's dubbed after Methuselah, the biblical patriarch who endured 969 years. Hold that figure, we'll circle back to it. Now, before you wave this off as fringe fantasy, grasp that Sarita has lodged prior assertions about 3i Atlas that seemed outlandish at first, only to snag unforeseen backing from subsequent datasets. He's no establishment astronomer, but neither is he conjuring vapor from the void. His breakdown pulls from Tesla's insights, ancient sacred geometry, Dante's Paradiso from 1321, and orbital mechanics that love them or loathe them, reveal some eerily precise alignments. The timing alone gives even skeptics pause. October 13th, 108 years after the Fatima event, in Sarita's model, 108 resonates as a harmonic of 432 Hz of frequency tied by both outlier and orthodox investigators to nature's pulse. 108 is x2, 216 x2, 432. These digits surface in ancient monuments. The Great Pyramids measures musical scales that antedate contemporary tuning. Whether they carry cosmic weight or simply seduce human intuition for pleasing proportions remains the ageless riddle. But here's the twist that needles the doubters. NASA powered down the Solar Dynamics Observatory's live feed on October 13th. Routine maintenance, they said. Yet the precision of that window, the sort of happenstance that prompts even stoic scientists to narrow their eyes. The SDO stands as one of our prime sentinels for solar flares and any transients grazing the sun. If 3i Atlas chose that shadowed slot for odd behavior, the SDO would have been the sharpest eye to snag it. And it blinked out. Then there's HiRISE, the high-resolution imaging science experiment camera on the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. It's been sidelined since October 1st. HiRISE can tease out details down to 30 km per pixel at 3i Atlas's range during the Mars close approach. That acuity might unveil structural quirks, surface oddities, hints that this wanderer isn't merely a grimy relic from another stellar neighborhood. The official line is that one of HiRISE's electronics units has been faltering since August 2023. Plausible enough, but the complete shutdown right before the most critical observation window in months feels almost choreographed. Add the broader context. On October 1st, 2025, the U.S. government ground to a halt, furloughing over 15,000 NASA employees. 2 days later, 3I Atlas made its closest approach to Mars at 29 million kilometers, the prime moment for high-resolution imaging and spectroscopy. Yet as of mid-October, no high-rise images have surfaced, no processed data from Mars orbiters, no NASA updates beyond vague assurances that it's probably just a comet. The European Space Agency offered a few images from their Mars Express and ExoMars Trace gas orbiter. A faint white dot, nothing more. No sign of the promised resolution. So when David Sarita claims 3I Atlas emitted Fibonacci pulses on the Fatima anniversary, the question isn't just is this true, but is this a leak? Sarita himself poses it that way, openly wondering if his analysis is a hoax or a deliberate drip of information through back channels to dodge direct accountability. He points to 2 prior 3I Atlas leaks that seemed fake at first but were later quietly validated by official sources weeks after the fact. This pattern mirrors other high strangeness cases. Fringe communities get unverified claims, they're dismissed, then elements are subtly confirmed through official channels without ever admitting the source. It's plausible deniability. Insiders skate free, and the public is left piecing together a puzzle where half the pieces are marked fiction, and the other half classified. Let's unpack what Sarita claims the Fibonacci numbers 5, 8, 13 mean in his hyperdimensional solar system model developed with his late partner Crystal Manaka Sarita. Their framework posits 9 hidden planets or orbital resonances tied to ancient cosmological systems like Dante's Paradiso, which describes 9 celestial spheres linked to angelic orders. Sarita maps these to orbital periods derived by dividing 591, his proposed central orbital period, in Earth days by the golden ratio repeatedly. The math yields numbers that uncannily align with known planetary orbits. Earth's sidereal year, 365.256 days, emerges when you divide 591 by 5. The orbits of Mars, Venus, Mercury, even the outer planets cluster around these ratios with a precision that's hard to chalk up to chance. Sarita notes that 3I Atlas's rotation period, measured at 16.16 hours, converts to 969.6 minutes, 969, the biblical age of Methuselah. You could argue this is mathematical sleight of hand, and that's a fair critique. With enough number-crunching, patterns can be forced. But Sarita's specific claim is that on October 13th, 3I Atlas transmitted the sequence 5, 8, 13, and his model 5 marks Earth's harmonic position. 8 corresponds to the dominions his theoretical planet 591, and 13 aligns with the virtues tied to the outermost edge of this inner system. If an intelligence were using this object to signal, and if it grasped how humans encode cosmic order into myth and sacred geometry, these numbers would be a deliberate message: we know your models, your history, and we're speaking your language. The counterpoint: someone on Earth fabricated this data, timed it to the Fatima anniversary for maximum psychological punch, and funneled it through Sarita to test public reaction. That's entirely plausible, perhaps even more likely. But then why? What's the gain in spinning a false tale about an interstellar object already strange enough without embellishment? If this is disinformation, who profits and what's the endgame? There's a third possibility rarely explored that lingers in the shadows of this enigma. What if the data is real, but 3I Atlas isn't the source? What if a terrestrial or near-Earth entity is broadcasting signals engineered to seem like they're coming from the comet's position? This could be a test of our detection capabilities, probing how the public and scientists react to signs of potential non-human communication. It might even be a calculated step in a broader disclosure strategy, gradually acclimating us to ideas that would have seemed unthinkable a decade ago. Avi Loeb, the Harvard astrophysicist unafraid to entertain the extraterrestrial hypothesis, hasn't directly addressed the Fibonacci pulse claim. Yet he's consistently flagged 3I Atlas's anomalies, nickel-rich, iron-free emissions, an anti-solar tail pointing toward the sun-defying comet norms, and a mass estimate of over 33 billion tons, far exceeding what its brightness suggests. On Loeb's scale from 0, definitely natural, to 10, definitely technological, He rates 3i Atlas a 6, serious enough to warrant scrutiny, not dismissal. The Fatima connection adds a layer that makes scientists squirm, veering into the mystical. On October 13, 1917, between 60,000 and 100,000 people gathered in Cova da Iria near Fatima, Portugal, drawn by 3 shepherd children's prophecy of a Virgin Mary miracle. What unfolded was staggering. Witnessed by believers and skeptics alike, the sun seemed to change colors, spin and plummet toward Earth before resuming its place. Soaked clothes dried instantly. Some saw visions, others just the solar spectacle. Skeptics offer explanations: mass hallucination from staring at the sun, atmospheric optics from dust or moisture, or psychological suggestion fueled by religious zeal. Yet none fully explain the physical effects, like the dried clothing, the consistent accounts from varied locations, or the prediction made months prior. The pattern is striking. A foretold celestial event captivates a massive crowd on October 13, 1917. Exactly 108 years later, an interstellar object positioned behind the sun at its closest solar approach allegedly pulses numbers encoding mathematical truths humans have pondered for millennia. And the instruments we'd use to confirm or debunk this, conveniently offline. Richard C. Hoagland, a fringe researcher with NASA communications experience, underscores the harmonic weight of that 108-year gap. The number 108 isn't random, it's sacred in Hindu and Buddhist cosmology, marking the number of mala beads or recitations. It's the temperature 108 degrees, where human cells falter. A multiple of 9 it weaves into the solar system's mathematical architecture. Hoagland suggests that whatever drives 3i Atlas grasps not just physics but human symbology. This brings us back to Dante Alighieri, who completed Paradiso, the final part of his Divine Comedy, around 1321. He envisioned the cosmos as nested spheres, each governed by angelic intelligences tied to virtues, dominions, virtues, powers. These weren't mere poetic flourishes. They were Dante's attempt to marry astronomy with Christian theology. David Sarita notes that Dante's model, 7 centuries old, aligns eerily with his hyperdimensional solar system when the golden ratio is applied as the organizing principle. Now 704 years after Dante's words, an interstellar object on a retrograde orbit skims within 5 decades of the ecliptic, and per Sarita's claim transmits numbers echoing that ancient cosmological framework. Either Dante somehow intuited a cosmic architecture that extraterrestrial minds also honor, or an entity steeped in human lore and orbital precision is crafting a meticulously layered signal. The real hurdle in assessing this lies in our near-total data blackout. We're groping through shadows. 3i Atlas hits perihelion, its solar closest approach, on October 29th. It's now orbiting the sun's far side, out of reach for Earth telescopes, and stays hidden until early December. Whatever maneuvers it's executing in that veil, we can't witness. ESA's JUICE spacecraft, the Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, is slated to scan 3i Atlas in November with cameras, spectrometers, and particle detectors. But that haul won't beam to Earth until February 2026. JUICE is rigging its high-gain antenna as a sunshade and sits too distant for high-bandwidth transmissions. So we hold our breath. In the interim, the buzz escalates. Reddit's R3i Atlas, a ghost town 2 months back now, pulses with thousands of users dissecting sightings, hypotheses, and rumored leaks. Much is static, pure fantasy, yet gems emerge from credentialed astronomers spotting inconsistencies. One thread timelines NASA's every 3i Atlas utterance against data drops. The script is stark. Independent scopes flag oddities, NASA counters with tepid comet-like platitudes, but the raw feeds to back them absent. High-rise shots due weeks ago. Zilch. Mars, flyby. Spectra nada. Even routine astrometry trajectory tweaks from position logs, lags behind past interstellar visitors. Chalk it to red tape, the shutdown snarling opser. Something deeper. Layer in the viewing blackout with those purported Fibonacci flares. The Fatima sink in 3i Atlas's prime spot for an undetectable pivot, and a storyline sharpens one that prickles. David Sarita's verdict cuts sharp, if those pulses hold. If 3i Atlas wields sacred geometry and temporal echoes to bridge us. This isn't some stray ice clod drifting our way. It's an entity that knows us, has probed our kind. Our legends are equations and picks now, to hail in a dialect that slips past lab sentinels to stir the human core that craves pattern and purpose. The fallout seismic, it would fold Fatima, whatever ignited that solar spectacle, into a sprawling arc of outreach. Our faiths, our hallowed digits, our star-tuned monuments, perhaps echoes of nudges we've recast as holy or arcane. It would torch the archives, but it demands we embrace a cunning and design that academia recoils from. Far simpler to shelve it as clever forgery or outlier babble than to grapple with an interstellar drifter, etching creation's code on a 20th century enigma centennial. Yet here we stand, the thing lurking sunward up to who knows what as we huddle in the hush, eyeing December juices read out a deluge of overdue visuals. Pause on that. The raw shot at non-human smarts, or at least at something wildly off-script, unfolds, now barricaded by orbit's glitches and fiscal halts. The choreography flawless, suspiciously so. So we press on wrestling riddles without riposts. Did the three Atlas objects truly emit Fibonacci pulses on October 13th? If so, how was this data captured and by whom? Why haven't official sources confirmed or debunked these claims? If it's a fabrication, what's the purpose of spreading this narrative at this precise moment? Answers, if they ever surface, may remain elusive until the object reappears from behind the sun. For now, we're left with the mathematics, the synchronicities, and an eerie sense that something is being communicated in a language we've long forgotten. But as we'll soon discover, the Fibonacci pulses are merely the prelude to something far stranger. The position 3 Atlas occupies the timing of its perihelion, and what it might do while veiled from our sight could be the crux of this unfolding mystery. A perihelion blackout, an object concealed behind the sun. A rare window of opportunity opens just once during 3 Atlas's journey through our solar system, a moment when the geometry of orbital mechanics provides perfect cover for undetected activity. That window began on October 29, 2025, when the object reached perihelion, and it won't close until early December. For roughly 6 weeks, 3 Atlas remains hidden behind the sun from Earth's perspective, invisible to our telescopes, shrouded in the stars' blinding glare. If Avel's calculations hold, this is the exact time and place an intelligent object might perform a reverse solar oath maneuver. Let's unpack this because the implications are deeply unsettling. The Oberth effect, a cornerstone of orbital mechanics, dictates that a spacecraft gains maximum efficiency from a propulsion burn, at its fastest point typically closest to a massive body like the Sun. For an object hurtling into our solar system, perihelion is the ideal spot to decelerate and settle into a bound orbit. By firing engines when the Sun's gravity is strongest, the craft can shed velocity far more efficiently than in deep space. Now picture an interstellar probe entering a system it intends to study timing, its approach to reach perihelion when it's obscured from the civilization it's observing. Earth's telescopes can't see it. Solar monitoring instruments are either offline or tuned to the wrong wavelength. The probe executes its burn slips into a solar orbit, and by the time it emerges, it's no longer a fleeting visitor, but a resident one that chooses when to reveal itself. 3 Atlas reached perihelion at 144 astronomical units from the Sun, roughly 203 million kilometers just inside Mars's orbit, but firmly within the inner solar system. The precise dates, October 29th to 30th, align with the range David Sarita links to significant historical events, including the traditional calculation of Prophet Muhammad's birth. Coincidence or not, the fact remains, this object is perfectly positioned to alter its trajectory without our knowledge. Lowe has been vocal about this risk, stating in October blog posts and interviews that a velocity change of 30 to 40 km/s during perihelion could bring 3 Atlas to Earth by late November or December. This isn't conjecture, it's orbital mechanics. An object with sufficient propulsion using the Sun's gravity as a slingshot could reach Earth's vicinity within weeks. We wouldn't detect it until it emerged from the solar glare already on an intercept course. The obvious counter-argument: it's just a comet. Comets don't have engines. True natural comets don't. But 3 Atlas has exhibited anomalies that challenge its classification: nickel emissions without corresponding iron. An antisolar tail, a rotation period tied to biblical numerology, a trajectory with a 0.005% probability of passing 3 major planets. At some point, the pile of coincidences grows so tall that dismissing alternatives feels like bias. What makes this blackout maddening is that we have assets capable of observing. ESA's JUICE spacecraft en route to Jupiter has a clear line of sight to 3 Atlas during November. Equipped with cameras, spectrometers, and particle sensors, it could detect activity invisible to Earth-based instruments. Observations are planned between November 2nd and 25th. But there's a catch. JUICE is so far from Earth and positioned such that its high-gain antenna doubles as a heat shield. It can only transmit data via its medium-gain antenna at a reduced rate, delaying critical insights. The complete dataset from JUICE's observations of 3 Atlas won't be downlinked and processed until February 2026, 4 months from now. During this time, if the object performed any unusual maneuvers, deployed smaller probes, altered its trajectory, or displayed signs of artificial propulsion, we'd remain in the dark. The data exists stored in JUICE's memory banks as it travels through the outer solar system, but it's effectively out of reach. Then there's the pivotal date, December 25th, 2025. Researchers like David Sarita and Michael Benjamin have calculated that 3 Atlas will align with Earth at the Great Pyramid angle on Christmas Day. The Great Pyramid of Giza, with its slope of 51 is a recurring motif in ancient architecture, often tied to celestial alignments. On this date, 3 Atlas will sit at precisely this angle relative to Earth. You could dismiss this as mere numerology. Angles abound in the universe, and enough calculations will yield coincidences. Yet the timing is striking. Christmas Day, steeped in Western tradition as the birth of a divine messenger bridging heaven, and Earth feels like a meticulously chosen moment for a revelation. If an interstellar object were to unveil itself to a global audience leveraging cultural and religious symbolism, the Great Pyramid angle on December 25th would be an unparalleled stage. Sarita goes further, noting that the period from October 19, 2024 to December 25, 2025 spans exactly 432 days. This number 432 resonates with some researchers who champion 432 Hz as a natural tuning frequency distinct from the modern 440 Hz standard. Whether this holds physical significance or is simply pattern seeking is debatable, but its appearance adds another layer to the growing stack of synchronicities. Another key date looms, December 19th, when 3 Atlas makes its closest approach to Earth at 188 astronomical units, roughly 269 million kilometers. That's far over 700 times the distance to the Moon, but close enough for detailed observation once the object emerges from the Sun's glare in early December. Telescopes worldwide will lock onto it. If 3 Atlas exhibits visual anomalies or structural features inconsistent with a natural comet, this is when they become visible, assuming those images are shared. The precedent set during its Mars flyby isn't encouraging. ESA's ExoMars Trace Gas orbiter released images showing 3 Atlas as a faint white dot against the Martian sky. The photos are authentic, confirming the object's predicted position, but they offer little scientific insight. No clear view of the nucleus. No detailed spectroscopy. Nothing beyond what ground-based telescopes already captured. NASA's Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, equipped with the high-resolution HiRISE camera, has released nothing. Meanwhile, amateur astronomers sifting through raw Perseverance rover data claim to have detected a faint smudge in 3 Atlas's expected position. These glimpses, though intriguing, fall short of revealing the object's true nature, leaving us grasping at shadows in the vastness of space. On October 1st, astrophotographer Simeon Schmaus stacked 20 images from the Perseverance rover's Mastcam Z instrument and identified what he believes to be the comet in the constellation Corona Borealis. If accurate, this marks our earliest glimpse of 3I Atlas from Mars's surface, but it remains unofficial, unconfirmed, and lacking the resolution we crave. What became of the HiRISE images? NASA's official stance is that the camera has faced glitches since August 2023, compounded by delays in data processing due to the government shutdown. Both claims check out, yet the convergence of technical woes, political gridlock, and the object's vanishing act behind the sun brews a storm of convenient ambiguity. If suppression were the goal, this setup offers flawless camouflage. If it's mere misfortune and red tape, the optics are disastrous. Avi Loeb tackled this head-on in early October interviews, underscoring that HiRISE could deliver images at 30-kilometer pixel resolution 3 times sharper than Hubble's July shots. At that fidelity, any surface irregularities, geometric forms, or deviations from a shattered ice core would stand exposed. Weeks after the flyby with no official drop, the silence transcends routine scientific deliberation. Then comes the political undercurrent. On October 3rd, in a Newsmax interview, Loeb unpacked the 7 core anomalies of 3I Atlas. Right after his segment, Stephen Miller, then White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, was fielded a question on whether the president had received briefings about the object. The query alone carries weight. It signals that 3I Atlas has escalated from astronomical footnote to a topic probing power corridors on live TV. Miller's evasion shed no light, but the mere asking elevates it beyond ivory tower intrigue into policy crosshairs. A presidential briefing on 3I Atlas would likely encompass the withheld intel were denied ultra-high-res snapshots from unadmitted military sentinels, spectroscopic breakdowns surpassing civilian gear trajectory simulations, baking in possible course corrections and threat evaluations. Even a slim 5% shot at artificial intent and directed motion flips this into national security terrain, not from imminent peril, but from the seismic ripples to our cosmic self-conception and the chaos of botched disclosure. The refrain echoing among those entertaining the extraterrestrial angle on 3I Atlas is the Dark Forest. Drawn from Liu Cixin's sci-fi novel of the same name, the archetype predates it. The cosmos as a shadowed woodland teeming with stalkers where every civilization lurks as a latent predator. In the Dark Forest hypothesis, silence is survival. Any civilization that reveals itself risks obliteration, so the prudent move is to strike first or stay hidden. Avi Loeb, alongside Adam Hibbard and Adam Krauss, explores this in their paper. Is the interstellar object 3IA Atlas alien technology? Proposing it as a lens for why extraterrestrial signals remain elusive. A probe operating under this logic would disguise itself as a natural object, avoid broadcasting, and reveal itself only when it holds the strategic upper hand. In this context, 3IO Atlas's behavior, skimming multiple planets, slipping behind the sun at perihelion, and potentially timing its emergence with culturally charged dates like Christmas, fits the profile of a covert observer. It could study our system, gauge our technological prowess, and choose a moment of peak psychological impact to unveil itself not through gate-kept radio signals, but via a visible presence anyone with a telescope could confirm. The counter-argument is robust comets are quirky. Outgassing causes non-gravitational accelerations. Compositions vary based on their birth system's conditions. The absence of iron in 3I Atlas's spectrum might stem from depletion during its interstellar trek. Its improbable trajectory, while statistically rare, isn't impossible. Positing alien origins demands extraordinary evidence, a bar that's notoriously slippery. At what point do anomalies pile high enough to cross it? If 3I Atlas emerges in December with clear geometric structures, would that suffice? If it shifts course in ways outgassing can't explain, would that tip the scales? Or will we always find another natural explanation to cling to? Postponing the paradigm shift. The Galileo affair looms as a historical echo. His observation of Jupiter's moon shattered the geocentric worldview, yet the data was resisted because it upended centuries of dogma. Galileo was muzzled and truth took generations to take root. We fancy ourselves beyond such rigidity, but the reluctance to entertain 3I Atlas's artificiality suggests otherwise. This 6-week perihelion blackout could be the most pivotal astronomical event in human history, or just a cosmic false alarm, a primordial ice chunk behaving as comets do with our fears and fascinations projected onto its flickering brightness and odd chemistry. The rub: we won't know until it emerges. If 3I Atlas has altered course, deployed subsystems, or deviated from a ballistic path, we'll be caught flat-footed. Loeb proposes that if anomalies persist post-perihelion, we should launch a probe not to destroy it but to scrutinize it up close, imaging it from meters away, sampling its makeup and probing for anything defying natural origins. Such a mission would take years to mount. Waiting for ironclad certainty risks letting 3i Atlas slip back into the interstellar void, squandering our one-shot at answers. December looms electric with possibility. Amateur astronomers are mobilizing, ready to train hundreds of telescopes on 3i Atlas the moment it breaks free from the sun's glare. Any visible changes, new features, trajectory shifts will be captured within hours. The scientific establishment won't be able to gatekeep this. If there's something to see, the world will see it. Until then, we're blind both literally and figuratively. An object from another star system is either doing nothing or something extraordinary in the one place we can't observe. The tools that could provide answers juice. High-rise are offline, delayed, or buried behind classified walls we can't breach. The synchronicities stack higher, the timing feels too perfect, and the silence from official channels is deafening. Whatever 3i Atlas is, whatever it's doing, we're on the cusp of learning whether the universe is as barren as we've been told, or if we've been watched all along, awaiting a cosmic introduction or confrontation depending on which shade of the dark forest hypothesis proves true. In astronomy, anomalous typically means minor deviations. A comet slightly brighter than expected, an asteroid with an odd spin. These are quirks that warrant footnotes, not paradigm shifts. 3i Atlas defies this mold. It's a cascade of anomalies, each explainable in isolation with mental gymnastics, but together forming a pattern no natural object in our records matches. Start with the anti-solar tail. Comets' tails stream away from the sun, driven by solar radiation pressure pushing dust and gas outward, a fundamental of physics consistent across every comet in human history. Until 3i Atlas. On August 24, 2025, images from the Keck Observatory revealed a faint tail stretching toward the sun. University of Hawaii researchers confirmed it, an anti-solar tail extending hundreds of kilometers sunward from the nucleus. The proposed explanation: heavy dust particles ejected with enough force to briefly defy solar radiation and gravity before curving back. The physics holds just barely, but demands an ejection mechanism far beyond typical cometary outgassing. Then there's the composition. Keck's cosmic web imager detected stark nickel emission lines, clear and unmistakable. Nickel isn't unheard of in comets, but nickel without iron is. These elements form together in stellar nucleosynthesis, appearing in predictable ratios. Seeing nickel alone is like finding a fingerprint with no hand. Avi Loeb highlighted the bombshell. The only known process producing pure nickel emissions without iron is the carbonyl pathway used in terrestrial nickel refinement. Nickel tetracarbonyl, a toxic compound tied to industrial processes like electroplating, forms when nickel reacts with carbon monoxide under specific conditions pioneered by Ludwig Mond in the 1880s. Detecting this signature in an interstellar comet isn't just unexpected. It's a cosmic curveball that demands we rethink what we're observing. The Keck research team posits a natural carbonyl reaction near 3i Atlas's nucleus to explain the nickel anomaly. James Webb Space Telescope data confirms carbon monoxide's presence, suggesting nickel in the nucleus could react with it to form nickel carbonyl compounds. These might dissociate in sunlight, releasing pure nickel gas into the coma. Chemically, it's feasible, but the precise conditions required make it a razor-thin explanation for such an odd observation. The spatial distribution complicates things further. Nickel emissions extend 600 km from the nucleus. Cyanide reaches 840 km, both forming distinct plumes with sharp boundaries, not the gradual diffusion expected from random outgassing. This suggests distinct production mechanisms or sources on the nucleus, pointing to a heterogeneous composition or activity, unlike any typical comet. Then there's the water paradox. NASA's Neil Gehrels Swift Observatory tracked 3i Atlas in July and August, measuring a water loss rate of 40 kilos per second, akin to a fire hose running non-stop for months. That's substantial for an object still far from the sun, as most comets don't shed water heavily until within 1 astronomical unit. Yet when NASA's tests observed 3i Atlas in May and June, before its official discovery, over 9,000 stacked images showed no coma, just a radial brightness profile resembling an inactive asteroid. By July, barely a month later, it was gushing water at industrial rates. Either its activity surged abruptly, or the early observations missed something critical. One explanation is that gas and dust emitted in May hadn't yet formed a visible coma due to detection delays. Still, this paints 3I Atlas as dormant at 6.4 AU, then explosively active past a threshold distance, a transition far swifter than typical cometary behavior. The composition is equally bizarre. James Webb's August data revealed 3I Atlas's volatiles are 87% carbon dioxide, 9% carbon monoxide, and just 4% water. This inverts the norm. Comets like the interstellar 2I Borisov are water-dominated with carbon dioxide and monoxide as secondary players. 3I Atlas is a carbon-rich comet with a dash of water, not the other way around. This suggests it formed in a frigid region of its home system colder than our solar system's formation zones. Carbon dioxide ice needs lower temperatures to condense than water ice, hinting 3I Atlas originated in its system's distant outskirts akin to our Kuiper belt, but potentially colder. This implies a home system with abundant carbon compounds and giant planets capable of ejecting such objects into interstellar space through gravitational kicks. Size estimates remain slippery. Early brightness data suggested a nucleus 4 to 24 km in diameter, a massive range. Hubble's August observations tighten this to an upper limit of 5.6 kilometers and a lower limit of 440 meters, still a tenfold uncertainty. This persistent ambiguity paired with the cascade of anomalies keeps 3I Atlas as an enigma defying easy categorization. Estimating 3I Atlas's size is tricky because brightness hinges on both size and reflectivity. A dark surface suggests a larger object. High reflectivity implies something smaller. Why does this matter? Mass calculations. Avi Loeb determined 3I Atlas needs a minimum mass of 33 billion tons to withstand rocket-like outgassing forces and maintain its observed trajectory. For a solid density, that mass demands a diameter over 5 kilometers. A porous comet-like structure would need to be even larger, while a compact dense object could be smaller. This size uncertainty muddies density estimates, which are key to understanding composition. A large, porous, icy body aligns with a natural comet. A small, dense one hints at something stranger, perhaps a fragment of a shattered body, or a captured planetesimal with an unusually high rock-to-ice ratio. Ambiguity breeds possibilities. The rotation period adds another layer. 3I Atlas spins every 16.16 hours, plus the end 3 minutes or 969.6 minutes, a figure eerily close to Methuselah's biblical age. Coincidence maybe, but dividing this period by Earth's axial year, 365.256 days yields 2.65457 within a fraction of a percent of the golden ratio squared 2.618. David Sarita's hyperdimensional solar system model leans heavily on such numerical alignments. Are they meaningful or merely human? Pattern-seeking Platonists argue the golden ratio exists in nature independent of us. An intelligence aiming to signal advanced species might embed such constants in an object's behavior. But that assumes intent design. Elite most scientists resist without ironclad evidence. The trajectory is a standout anomaly. 3I Atlas skims within 5 layers of the ecliptic plane, the disk where planets orbit. Random interstellar objects should arrive from any direction, yet this one hugs the planetary plane, a less than 1% probability per Loeb's calculations. Its retrograde orbit opposite the planet's direction adds intrigue. Most solar system objects share a prograde orbit inherited from the system's formative disk. Retrograde orbits suggest capture or an external origin. For an interstellar object, retrograde isn't shocking, but paired with low inclination, it's a tactically ideal path for observing multiple planets discreetly. At discovery, 3I Atlas clocked 60 km relative to the Sun, exceeding escape velocity and confirming its interstellar routes. It hit 68 km at perihelion, driven by solar gravity, and should exit at roughly its entry speed if unpowered. Any significant deviation in exit velocity would scream anomaly. The WOW signal connection is tantalizing if speculative. In 1977, the Big Ear telescope detected a 72-second narrowband burst from near the Chi Sagittarii star group, so striking that astronomer Jerry Amon scrawled "Wow" on the printout. Never detected again, its origin remains a mystery. Loeb notes 3I Atlas's backtrack trajectory passes near this region within the margin of error for both the signal source and the object's path. the odds of this alignment being random, about 6%. If 3I Atlas emitted the WOW signal in 1977 as it approached the timeline, Fitz assuming it's been under intelligent control for 48 years, signaling once before going silent. A one-time announcement, not a beacon, would explain the signal's singularity, but it's a massive assumption teetering on the edge of science fiction. The WOW signal's alternative explanations: a comet outgassing hydrogen at the exact frequency of the Big Ear telescope, terrestrial interference mimicking an astronomical source, or an unknown astrophysical phenomenon, falls short of satisfying. A comet could emit hydrogen at 1422 MHz, but the conditions are highly specific. Interference struggles against the signal's astronomical hallmarks, like its predictable rise and fall as the telescope's beam swept past. No explanation fully fits. Add up 3I Atlas's anomalies: an anti-solar tail, nickel emissions without iron, a carbon-heavy composition, extreme water loss at 40 kHz, a dormant phase in early observations, a near-ecliptic trajectory with retrograde motion, a rotation period echoing the golden ratio squared, and a possible link to the WOW signal's origin. This object defies categorization. It's not like solar system comets nor 2I Borisov, the prior interstellar comet, nor Oumuamua, which showed non-gravitational acceleration without visible outgassing. 3I Atlas is sui generis. The scientific community is divided. Most lean on known frameworks, unusual composition check. Odd outgassing noted. Trajectory statistically possible barely. Each anomaly can be explained with creative comet physics, but a vocal minority led by Avi Loeb argues that at some point stitching together ad hoc explanations becomes less plausible than exploring alternatives. The data is tantalizingly incomplete, clear enough to flag something off, too vague to pinpoint what. Remote observations yield chemical compositions via spectroscopy, but no structural details. Brightness and size are inferred, not directly seen. This ambiguity fuels both skeptics and believers. Resolution demands a close approach, as Loeb proposes a probe to intercept 3I Atlas, imaging it from hundreds of kilometers away, to reveal surface features, geometric patterns, or unnatural textures. No such mission exists. Planning and launching one would take years, and by then 3I Atlas would be lost to interstellar space. We're left with telescopes and speculation. Each anomaly has a natural explanation, but their collective weight warps probability. Either 3I Atlas is a freakishly rare natural object exhibiting a dozen improbable traits, or it demands a new lens, one that includes the possibility of design intent or intelligence. Loeb's paper with Adam Hibbert and Adam Krauss. Is the interstellar object 3I Atlas alien technology? Posted to Archive in July, embodies this tension. It takes audacity or recklessness to publish such a title, knowing the academic blowback. The argument is straightforward yet bold. An extraterrestrial probe designed for stealth would mimic a natural object. Its trajectory would appear ballistic, its composition icy or rocky, its behavior comet-like. It would reveal itself only when strategically necessary. 3I Atlas. In this view, isn't a sci-fi spaceship but a cosmic Trojan horse, a surveillance platform cloaked as debris. The paper's trajectory analysis is its sharpest edge, blending rigorous orbital mechanics with provocative speculation, challenging us to question whether we're seeing nature's outlier or something far stranger. Avi Loeb and his co-authors calculated the delta V, the velocity change needed for 3I Atlas to intercept planets in our solar system. Delta V is the lifeblood of spaceflight. Every maneuver demands it, and more delta V means more fuel. For an interstellar probe, minimizing delta V to reach key targets is critical. Their findings show 3I Atlas passes close enough to Venus, Mars, and Jupiter for small velocity tweaks to enable intercepts. Venus requires less than 5 km before April, staying under 10 km through July. Mars needs under 5 km until late July. Jupiter's intercept delta V remains below 5 km through November. These are feasible with chemical propulsion rockets we already build, no exotic physics required. Earth is the exception. Its delta V exceeds 5 km, often much higher depending on timing. This aligns with the dark forest hypothesis drawn from Liu Cixin's novel, but long discussed in SETI and astrobiology. In a universe of finite resources, revealing your presence invites annihilation. Civilizations stay silent, avoiding megastructures or broadcasts. Probes sent to other systems are stealthy, mimicking natural objects. If 3i Atlas is such a probe, Earth being in the habitable zone wouldn't be approached directly. Instead, you'd target neighbors like Venus or Mars, deploy sub-probes, and observe from afar. If hostile, you'd strike with minimal warning. The paper frames this as a thought experiment, but the math is solid. 3i Atlas's trajectory allows observation of terrestrial planets with low delta V. Its retrograde orbit boosting relative velocity for quick flyby data grabs, and its low ecliptic inclination keeping it in the planetary plane for optimal coverage. The perihelion timing on October 29, 2025 is pivotal. Positioned behind the Sun, 3i Atlas is hidden from Earth. A braking maneuver there using a reverse Oberth effect could drop it into a bound solar orbit. The Oberth effect makes propulsion most efficient at peak velocity perihelion, where the Sun's gravity maximizes speed. A burn there amplifies deceleration, requiring less fuel to shift from an escape trajectory to a captured orbit. Loeb's team calculated a 30 to 40 km burn could not only capture 3i Atlas, but redirect it toward Earth, arriving by late November or early December, weeks not months away. Earth would see it only when it emerges already on a closing path, its engine plume masked by 200 million kilometers of solar fusion. The paper details this reverse Oberth maneuver, noting its elegance and concealment. The geometry perihelion obscured from Earth seems almost tailored for cover. Intentional design or cosmic coincidence. The authors don't claim certainty, presenting it as plausible, not proven. The math holds, but whether it's pattern seeking or a glimpse of intent hinges on what 3i Atlas does next. The authors maintain that a natural comet remains the most likely explanation for 3i Atlas, yet they caution against dismissing the possibility of an artificial origin without thorough investigation. They're right to urge caution. Even a 1% chance that 3i Atlas is something other than a comet carries such profound implications that we must explore, not ignore the possibility. Public reaction to the paper was predictable. Mainstream science journalists largely overlooked it or branded it as fringe speculation. Social media, however, erupted. Reddit threads dissected every sentence, while YouTube videos with sensational thumbnails fueled speculation. The conspiracy community embraced it as vindication, while skeptics mocked it as attention-seeking. The scientific community tellingly remained largely silent. Silence could mean the idea is too absurd to warrant a response, or that engaging with it risks professional credibility. Avi Loeb, no stranger to controversy, has faced this before. His prior work on Oumuamua suggesting it might be an alien light sail earned him both fame and derision. He's been labeled a publicity hound, a pseudoscientist, and a modern Galileo, sometimes in the same article. Loeb's stance is clear: science should follow the data no matter how uncomfortable the conclusions. If the data is anomalous, you propose bold explanations and test them, not suppress them for being unconventional. Critics, however, argue that extraordinary claims demand extraordinary evidence. Suggesting 3i Atlas might be alien technology based on statistical anomalies and orbital quirks falls short of that standard. The evidence is intriguing but not conclusive. A collection of peculiarities, each explainable on its own, that together feel significant but lack definitiveness. In science, feelings don't suffice. So what would constitute extraordinary evidence? Loeb proposes a scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is undeniably natural and 10 is unmistakably technological. He places 3i Atlas at a 6. To climb higher, we'd need artificial signals radio, or optical or observations of non-gravitational acceleration unexplained by outgassing. High-resolution imagery, revealing geometric structures or unnatural surface features, would also shift the score. None of these have been detected yet. The Mars flyby was expected to provide answers. High-resolution imaging should have revealed large-scale structures, and spectroscopy from multiple orbiters should have offered detailed compositional data. Yet as reported, the data is either unreleased or inconclusive. ESA's images are low resolution, NASA's data is delayed, and the observation window has closed for months. Whether this is coincidence or deliberate withholding depends on one's trust in official narratives versus suspicions of information control. Loeb's scale, while subjective, offers a framework to move beyond binary debates, alien or not. It embraces uncertainty and sets benchmarks for what future observations could clarify. If 3i Atlas exhibits a delta V change post-perihelion, it could jump to an 8 or 9. A broadcast signal would make it a 10. If it simply follows a ballistic trajectory and fades away, it drops to a 3 or 4, unusual but likely natural. The engineering challenge of constructing an interstellar probe underscores the stakes of this question. Our current technology struggles to reach the edges of our solar system. Voyager 1, launched in 1977, is now over 24 billion kilometers from Earth, traveling at roughly 17 kilometers relative to the Sun. At that pace, it would take about 75,000 years to reach the nearest star, if it were even headed that way, which it isn't. Crossing interstellar distances in a reasonable time frame demands either multi-millennial mission durations generation ships, or probes built to endure thousands of years, or velocities far beyond our capabilities. 3i Atlas, moving at 60 km/s, would need roughly 20,000 years to travel a single light year. If it originated in the Milky Way's thick disk, its home star could be dozens or hundreds of light years away. That implies a mission spanning millions of years, raising questions about power sources and material degradation, or multiple accelerations and decelerations requiring immense energy reserves. Alternatively, it might not have come from a star at all. A lesser discussed hypothesis suggests interstellar space teams with orphaned objects ejected from planetary systems billions of years ago. These relics drift through the galaxy, occasionally passing through star systems by chance. Some could be ancient probes launched by long-extinct civilizations still operating on programmed instructions, collecting data with no home to send it to, because their creators vanished eons ago. 3i Atlas could be such a ghost probe, a melancholic relic of a dead civilization dutifully executing a mission stripped of purpose. This idea carries a deeper sorrow than the dark forest hypothesis. The dark forest implies intent, agency, and threat. Ghost probes are mere echoes of intelligence, whispering of civilizations that rose, achieved interstellar feats, and then faded. They highlight the fragility of even the most advanced societies, suggesting the galaxy might be littered with unrecognized archaeological relics, silent monuments we mistake for natural objects because we're searching for active signals. Loeb's paper doesn't dwell on this poignant angle. It focuses on the tactical. If 3i Atlas is an active intelligent probe, what might it do next? It could deploy smaller probes to analyze Earth's biosphere, atmosphere, or technological signatures. It might already be beaming data back to its origin, updating its creators on its findings. In the worst-case scenario, it could be evaluating Earth as a potential threat, preparing a response. The notion that humanity could be seen as a threat by an advanced intelligence feels both absurd and chilling. We struggle to manage our own planet, lack interstellar travel, and pose no immediate galactic challenge. Yet from a sufficiently advanced perspective, threat lies not in current capabilities but in potential. Humanity went from powered flight to the moon in just 66 years, from the first nuclear weapon to a global arsenal in decades. Our exponential growth could signal danger to a watchful civilization. They might not care about what we can do now, but what we could become in 1,000 or 10,000 years. If they see us as a future rival, preemptive action becomes logical. This is the cold calculus of the dark forest hypothesis. In a zero-sum universe, you don't wait for another hunter to grow strong. You strike while they're weak. It could explain why we haven't detected obvious galactic civilizations. They're either hiding or have been eliminated by those who hid better. Loeb doesn't advocate panic. He urges observation, data collection, and preparedness. If 3i Atlas is natural, we'll gain insights into interstellar objects and planetary system formation. If it's something more, we'll need to be ready to respond. If 3i Atlas proves artificial, it delivers an urgent wake-up call. We're not alone, and we must grapple with how to signal our presence to a cosmos that might not welcome us. Either way, natural or engineered, the outcome yields priceless insights. Dismissing Loeb as a fearmonger or spotlight chaser sidesteps the real issue. It's not about nailing this one object. It's about readying ourselves for extraterrestrial probes that could slip through our system undetected. If it's not 3i Atlas today, it'll be tomorrow's interloper or the next. The Vera Rubin Observatory is poised to ignite this reality, scanning the skies and unearthing interstellar wanderers at a clip of several per year. Should even a sliver of them harbor artificial origins, will demand robust protocols, swift identification, risk assessment, response chains. Shrugging off the prospect because it stings or invites sneers isn't savvy, it's willful blindness. Physics and energy and hyperdimensional solar system theory. Now we venture where orthodox science balks and the terrain turns surreal. David Sarita's hyperdimensional solar system model doesn't grace lecture halls or referee journals. Yet it spits out testable forecasts, crisp numerical ones, and some sync with real-world data and ways too uncanny to wave off as fluke. Does this mean it maps the cosmos, or is it just curve-fitting with enough knobs to mimic any trend? That's the crux, and it's stubbornly unresolved. At its core lies 591, not approximately, but precisely 591. Sarita posits this as the orbital span in Earth days of a phantom world nestled between Mars and the asteroid belt. Planet 591 lurks in no database. No scope has snapped it, but divide 591 by the golden ratio, f, 1.618 over and over, and you unearth a cascade of figures that shadow the orbital years of charted planets and key solar resonances with startling fidelity. Kick off with 591, set f. You land on 365.258. Earth's sidereal year clocks in at 365.26363 days. The gap a mere 0.002 days. That's no rough sketch, it's razor sharp. Serendipity, perhaps, but razor-specific serendipity. Press on dividing, next comes 225.7, hugging Venus's 224.701 days. Then 139.5, and though Mercury's 87.969 lags, it slots into the ratio web. The chain stretches sunward too. Multiply 591 by f and you edge toward outer giant's laps, the fits fuzzier farther out. Sarita's thesis, 591 is the solar symphony's fulcrum, the pivot literal and symbolic around which orbits whirl. He ties it to f, because the ratio threads through nature's weave galactic coils, leaf whirls human contours. If the solar system hums to f's tune, then a core cadence scaled by f should unveil the blueprint, and for the inner quartet, it largely does. The outer reaches turn audacious. Sarita sketches 9 extra worlds or slots mirroring angelic tears from Christian lore, and Dante's Paradiso seraphim cherubim thrones, dominions, virtues, powers, principalities, archangels, angels. Each gets a term from extending the F cascade from 591. Most drift unmoored to known bodies, but some ghost near resonances, orbital sweet spots where tugs forge fragile havens or shatter them. Dante penned Paradiso circa 1321, framing the heavens as 9 stacked realms, each yoked to an angelic rank and virtue. He drew from Ptolemy's geocentric loom, Earth smack in the middle, all wheeling around it. But tweak the vantage and his numerics echo modern mechanics. Sarita contends Dante wove in secrets gleaned from visions or perhaps piped from non-human minds, detailing the solar grid's veiled bones. And 704 years on 3i Atlas materializes, echoing that scaffold. Fibonacci echoes 5, 8, 13 slot right in. In Sarita's lattice, each pins a slot 5 for Earth, 8 for Planet 591, the Dominions 13 for Virtue's a ghost world or echo band beyond. If 3i Atlas beam these digits, it's a cosmic postcard. We grasp your weave. We flag the linchpin's Earth, the teeming hub. 591 the spine. 13 the inner fringe's rim. Now the model's thorns. 1-0 sightings of Planet 591. A body that size slotted between Mars and the belt with a 591-day loop would rattle asteroids' paths. It'd glow in infrared sweeps. Mars probes would snag its tug. Zilch on all fronts. So either it's absent cloaked, or 591 signals, not a hunk of rock, but a resonance, a tidal hum, shaping orbits sans bulk. 2. The leap that F reigns as cosmic architect beyond math's quirk. That's metaphysics, not mechanics. Physics nods to F in pentagons or quasi-crystals, but ranks it no peer to T or H-bar. Hoisting it there demands unprovable bets on existence's weave. 3 data drapings a snap with loose reins. Sarita's got layers of scaling, slicing, fudging, glossing. That leeway lets you shoehorn any tally to any other if you're nimble. It's the old numerology jab or Bible code. Hunt scour chaos, long enough patterns pop doesn't make them portentous. Yet, in this Pax Punch the framework unwittingly nailed a call. Sarita forged his hyperdimensional web, pre-3i Atlas Aaron 591, and the F-thread in early 2025 via ancient lore and harmonic math. Then 3i Atlas arrives at spin clocking 16.16 hours, or 969.6 minutes. And 969, that's Methuselah's biblical lifespan in years. Slice 969 by Earth's year, and you hit 2.6548 eyebrow lift close to F2 2.618. Sarita didn't forecast this tick. His lens prizing such ties as profound just snagged a fresh match. The alignment of 3i Atlas's rotation period with Sarita's F-based model is either a jaw-dropping fluke or a hint that his framework captures something real. The catch-1 data point doesn't settle it. We need to pattern multiple interstellar objects with rotation periods or orbits snapping to F-derived sequences. If 3i Atlas stands alone, it's likely just chance. The link to sacred architecture deepens the intrigue. The Great Pyramid of Giza, with its base perimeter of roughly 921 meters and height of about 146 meters, yields a perimeter-to-height ratio near 2p, embedding the circle's fundamental geometry. Some argue this reflects deliberate knowledge of p by its builders. Others chalk it up to practical slope angles or measurement units. Same struck for rival stories. Sarita goes further, claiming the Giza Pyramid's angles 50 for the Great Pyramid with Khafras and Menkaures slightly offset act as celestial pointers. When extended skyward, these lines target ecliptic zones, whereas hypothetical hyperdimensional planets would appear if they exist. Mainstream Egyptology rejects this, viewing the pyramids as tombs with angles driven by engineering, not cosmic code. But if ancient builders had contact with, or insights from non-human intelligences, encoding astronomical data in stone makes sense. Stone endures. Oral tales warp, scripts evolve. A pyramid aligned to cardinal points with geometric precision whispers its secrets across millennia to those who can decode it. If 3i Atlas approaches Earth at the Great Pyramid's angle on December 25th, it's either cosmic theatrics or a script etched long ago. Richard C. Hoagland, a polarizing figure who's long argued for artificial structures on Mars, and the Moon weighs in on 3i Atlas too. Often dismissed as pseudoscience, Hoagland's Apollo-era NASA ties lend him a veneer of credibility. He ties the October 13th date marking the 108th anniversary of Fatima to harmonic resonance 108x2, or of 216. 216 sec 2, or 432. The frequency 432. Hertz, some claim, hums in tune with nature and human physiology, unlike the modern 440 Hertz standard set in the 20th century for orchestral and standardization reasons. Whether 432 Hz holds unique power is debated, but the number echoes elsewhere. 432,000 years marks the Kali Yuga cycle in Hindu cosmology, and 432 ties to the 25,920-year precession of Earth's axis divided by the Sumerian base 60 to yield figures in the 400s. Hoagland posits that whoever or whatever guides 3i Atlas knows these cycles and harmonics, orchestrating events like the Fatima anniversary perihelion and Christmas alignment for maximum resonance. It's not random. It's a cosmic symphony, each note struck with precision. Whether this holds or we're weaving stories onto chaos is unclear, but the elegance is undeniable. Announcing a presence through synchronicity and sacred timing outshines a bland radio ping. Sarita's mathematical ties aren't easily dismissed. They demand scrutiny, not scorn. The alignment of 3i Atlas's rotation period with the golden ratio squared to within a fraction of a percent is peculiar. Dividing 591 by F to land, almost exactly on Earth's orbital period, is equally striking. The Fibonacci sequence flickering in alleged light pulses on a date steeped in historical weight adds another layer of strangeness. Any one of these could be dismissed as noise, but together they weave a tapestry of anomalies that begs for a cohesive explanation, or an admission that the universe might be far stranger and more interwoven than materialist science permits. This is where dialogue often frays. Skeptics demand tangible mechanisms, show the planet, measure the signal, deliver reproducible data. Sarita's model offers none of that, just correlations, numerology. historical threads, and metaphysical leaps. By strict empirical standards, it's not science, yet viewed through a wider lens that embraces the history of ideas and the possibility that ancient cultures embedded astronomical truths in myth and stone, it's at least worth a glance. The risk is confirmation bias. Once you hunt for F-based patterns, they seem to sprout everywhere. The human mind excels at spotting patterns, even inventing them. Pareidolia, like seeing faces in clouds or Martian rocks, is well documented. Numerological traps can ensnare where every number bends to fit the theory if you twist hard enough. The challenge is sifting signal from noise, demanding a rigor Sarita's model often lacks. But if 3i Atlas acts up in December, veers off, a ballistic path, reveals structure, or validates any predictions of artificiality, then frameworks like Sarita's, which chase meaning in the oddities, will gain traction. If it fades as a mundane, icy wanderer, the hyperdimensional solar system model joins the graveyard of captivating but unproven ideas. That's the beauty of true science, we'll find out. The object is still out there, observations roll on, and data will either bolster or bury the wild hypotheses. That's how it works, even if the ideas unsettle. Now, biology and genetics. Could 3i Atlas seed life? Panspermia, an under-discussed astrobiological hypothesis, is both elegant and unsettling. It posits that life doesn't spark anew on every planet but hitchhikes across space via comets, asteroids, or interstellar objects. If true, 3i Atlas isn't just a passerby, it's a cosmic courier. Its cargo could outweigh any signal it might emit. Trajectory studies peg its journey at a staggering duration, a conservative 3 billion years, with upper estimates stretching to 14 billion, predating our solar system and reaching back to the early universe when primordial stars seeded the galaxy with heavy elements. If 3i Atlas formed 14 billion years ago, it's a relic from the Milky Way's youth, drifting through primordial gas and dust clouds as they coalesced into stars and planets. It was ancient when Earth was molten. What does such age mean for biology? If this object harbors frozen material in its core, it could encase organic compounds from a galactic epoch we can't otherwise probe. Early stars with their distinct metallicity and elemental abundances forged the building blocks of life. Amino acids, nucleotides, lipid membranes under conditions long vanished. 3i Atlas might be a cosmic time capsule preserving primordial chemistry older than Earth itself. Its carbon dioxide dominance bolsters this idea. CO2 ice forms at lower temperatures than water, suggesting 3i Atlas hails from the frigid outskirts of its birth system, or interstellar voids where carbon compounds thrive. Carbon is life's scaffold, and 3i Atlas's outgassing of carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and cyanide, all carbon-bearing hints at a rich reservoir of life's raw materials. Cyanide, despite its toxic wrap, is a prebiotic cornerstone. Hydrogen cyanide fuels the Strecker synthesis, yielding amino acids and polymerizes into adenine, a DNA and RNA nucleotide base. The Miller-Urey experiment, mimicking early Earth's atmosphere, leaned on cyanide chemistry to birth amino acids from simple molecules and energy. If 3i Atlas is venting cyanide, it's spilling a key ingredient for life's genesis. Skeptics point out space's brutality: radiation, vacuum, extreme cold. Surface molecules might degrade over millions, let alone billions of years. But a comet's core is a fortress. Ice and rock shield it from cosmic rays, and sub-freezing temperatures lock chemical structures in time. Meteorites prove this. The Murchison meteorite carried over 70 amino acids, some alien to Earth's biology, surviving formation, cosmic journeys, and atmospheric fiery plunges. The OSIRIS-REx mission to Bennu, a battered asteroid baked for billions of years, found nearly all amino acids needed for life. If 3i Atlas, chilling in the deep freeze of interstellar space far from stellar radiation, can't preserve organics, even better, what could? This feeds the panspermia hypothesis. Comets and asteroids striking planets deliver material that can survive impact and mingle with local chemistry. If that cargo holds preformed organic molecules, or more daringly resilient microorganisms, it seeds worlds. Earth may owe its spark to such cosmic deliveries. Mars, Venus, in its temperate past, or the ocean-harboring moons of Jupiter and Saturn could have been seeded too. perhaps still receiving organic shipments from impacts. 3i Atlas won't collide with Earth, its path stays distant, but its mere presence raises the stakes of what interstellar objects might carry. If 3i Atlas were to fragment, say, from thermal stress or tidal forces, those shards could become rogue objects with slightly skewed paths. Some might eventually cross Earth's orbit, not now, but centuries or millennia hence, or collide with other solar system bodies. If even one fragment lands in a hospitable niche carrying viable biological material, it could seed extraterrestrial life. Viable here is critical. Most panspermia scenarios don't demand active reproducing organisms, just chemical precursors, organic molecules that could spark biogenesis. The leap from chemistry to life. A bolder variant lithopanspermia suggests dormant but living microbes hitch rides inside rocks or ice. Earth's own extremophiles like tardigrades enduring space's vacuum or bacterial spores surviving millions of years show this is plausible. If Earth life can pull it off, alien life might too. Avi Loeb advocates intercepting interstellar objects with landing missions, not mere flybys drilling into their cores to hunt for organic compounds or ambitiously signs of biological activity. Finding extraterrestrial microbes, even fossilized ones, would upend biology, offering a second example of life, and proving it's not Earth-exclusive. If their biochemistry mirrors ours, it bolsters panspermia. If radically different, it hints at independent origins, raising questions about life's cosmic abundance. 3i Atlas, speeding too fast and too distant, eludes such missions with current tech. But the Vera Rubin Observatory, set to spot interstellar visitors at a rate of several per year, could change that. Detecting an object a year out, not a month, buys time for a fast flyby, or even a sample return mission if the trajectory aligns. The scientific payoff would be colossal. Yet panspermia has a shadow side. Harmful biology. If life can hitchhike through space, so could pathogens. Picture a 3i Atlas fragment hitting Earth, carrying microbes biochemically close enough to interact with terrestrial life, but alien enough to dodge immune defenses and extraterrestrial plague. This feels like sci-fi, and it likely is. The odds of alien biochemistry threading that needle, compatible yet deadly, are minuscule. But not zero. Planetary protection protocols exist to prevent cross-contamination, sterilizing Mars rovers to avoid Earth microbes, hitching a ride, or quarantining asteroid samples in clean rooms. These assume we control the exchange. But if 3i Atlas fragments naturally scattering pieces that drift into Earth's orbit or strike other bodies, there's no containment. It's already here. If it carries biological material, we're exposed. Most biologists argue the odds of harm or low. Alien biochemistry would likely be so divergent from Earth's that interaction is impossible, like pouring gasoline into a diesel engine. The systems just don't mesh. But with only Earth's biology as a reference, a sample size of 1, this is educated guesswork. If 3i Atlas harbors anything biological, it's more likely chemical fossils and living organisms, organic relics of past life now inert. These would still be scientific gold, revealing the chemistry of life from another star system. What elements were available? What metabolic pathways emerged? Whether alien life converged on similar solutions for replication. Even a null result, no organic chemistry at all, would inform us, suggesting its formation environment was hostile to complex carbon molecules, narrowing the conditions where life might ignite. Panspermia posits that life could spread galaxy-wide from a single origin carried by comets and asteroids ejected from one system to seed others. Over billions of years, one genesis could populate the Milky Way, making life common, but related, all sharing a distant ancestor. This reshapes the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. If panspermia holds, intelligence might emerge in waves, with species developing in sync after being seeded in the same cosmic epoch. We could be an early wave in a galaxy still budding with life, or a late one surrounded by the ruins of civilizations that rose and fell, leaving relics like 3i Atlas dormant probes or cosmic driftwood. Social media claims about 3i Atlas carrying microbes to drop on Earth are likely fantasy, but they echo ancient fears of skyborne omens, meteors, as portents comets as plague bringers. Science has largely dismissed these as superstition. Yet panspermia suggests a kernel of true space objects can carry biological cargo. Most likely such material burns up on entry or is too alien to affect Earth's biosphere. The real test lies in spectroscopy hunting biosignatures like methane and oxygen coexisting unstable unless life replenishes them, or pigments like chlorophyll absorbing specific wavelengths. No such signals have surfaced and they probably won't, but searching drives progress. If 3i Atlas hinted at biological activity, the response would be seismic telescopes would pivot funding, for intercept missions would surge and our worldview would shift. Could 3i Atlas seed life? In theory, yes, its chemistry, age, and icy shell make it a candidate, but whether it carries viable biological material remains unknown without a sample. That panspermia is a serious hypothesis, and peer-reviewed journals shows how far we've come. The universe isn't sterile, and 3i Atlas keeps us asking the right questions. The universe teems with organic chemistry, complex molecules poised for biology to leapfrog from one star system to another. 3i Atlas embodies that saga. Whether it ferries life or not, it's a galactic envoy whispering that the raw ingredients are ubiquitous, biding time until the perfect spark ignites replication evolution, and the dawn of self-aware minds pondering their roots. In our medicine and neuroscience, the psychology of disclosure. Information control amid uncertainty lays bare the frailties of human institutions far more than the secrets they guard. The script unfolding with 3i Atlas is no outlier. It mirrors every high strangeness episode that breaches the fringe to storm mainstream scrutiny. Raw, discovery sparks thrill. Officials murmur reassurances that deflate the hype data. Trickles in later, not at all. Dubious leaks stir the pot. The public splinters into fervent believers and die-hard skeptics, and trust in authority erodes like sandcastles at high tide regardless of whether the official line holds water. This loop is so rote, it's practically a template, and decoding it demands a dive into the neuroscience of conviction and the sociology of info hoarding. Consider the government shutdown's uncanny timing. On October 1st, congressional gridlock over budgets furloughed over 15,000 NASA staff. 2 days later, 3i Atlas grazed its closest to Mars, the prime slot for razor-sharp imaging and spectral breakdowns. The shutdown slashed headcounts, jammed data pipelines, and muzzled outreach. Bureaucratically, it's just rotten luck shutdowns or routine speed bumps. But through the lens of public faith, it's a powder keg. Our brains are primed to sniff out intent, a holdover from Savannah days when rustling leaves screamed predator over breeze. False alarms cost calories. Complacency costs lives. This hyperactive agency detection fuels conspiracy's stubborn grip. When a blockbuster event collides with limp excuses, the mind bridges the void with tales of scheming hands. The shutdown. No fluke mishap, but a calculated veil over the Mars past to throttle data dumps. Truth takes a back seat to plausibility, and plausibility is catnip for cognition. The White House dust-up adds fuel. When Stephen Miller, Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, faced a live TV probe on whether the president had gotten the 3i Atlas memo, the query alone screamed escalation. Briefings for the Oval Office aren't handed out for garden-variety skyrocks, they're reserved for national security heavyweights. A public airing, not some shadowy whisper, means media heavyweights deemed it fair game. That catapults 3i Atlas from nerdy footnote to potential playbook pivot. And once policy enters the chat, the info spigot twists what leaks when to whom. Here's where the psyche knots up. Most astronomers knee-deep in 3i Atlas aren't cabal operatives. Spinning yarns, they're lab-coated grinders, chasing grants and glory. But layer on institutional reflexes, risk aversion, chain of command paralysis, and you get a machine that prioritizes optics over openness. Terrified of boy who cried alien backlash or knee-jerk headlines, it opts for drip-feed silence, which only amplifies the echo chamber of doubt. Neuroscience backs this. Our threat detectors fire on incomplete intel, birthing narratives that soothe the uncertainty itch. Sociology chimes in. 2 gatekeepers, from press officers to peer reviewers, filter through prisms of prestige and precedent, sidelining the weird to safeguard the status quo. With 3i Atlas as it hurtles toward perihelion on October 29th, that tension simmers. Will data delays birth more myths, or will transparency rebuild bridges? Either way, the psychology of disclosure isn't just about the stars. It's a mirror to our wired, wary souls. Scientists analyzing 3i Atlas are grinding through data drafting papers and navigating peer review, applauding structural slog, not a deliberate cover-up, but perception doesn't care about flowcharts. When NASA's own open data protocols falter with weeks-long delays and murky excuses, trust crumbles. It doesn't matter if understaffing or technical glitches are to blame. The void invites speculation. Social media pours fuel on the fire. Reddit threads, X posts, TikTok clips, they're echo chambers where like-minded souls amplify each other's convictions. The 3i Atlas subreddit, a ghost town in July, now hums with thousands dissecting images, parsing official statements, and weaving intricate theories. Some are sharp, others noise, but together they form a crowdsourced brain, wrestling with incomplete puzzle pieces. This is a double-edged sword. Crowds can spot what experts miss, like astrophotographer Simeon Schmaus potentially glimpsing 3i Atlas and Perseverance rover images before official word dropped. Amateurs wield time tools and zeal that lone researchers lack. But without editorial gates, misinformation races alongside truth, sometimes outpacing it. Sarita's Fibonacci pulse claim is a textbook case. It went viral, neither confirmed nor debunked, floating in limbo. Believers embrace it. Skeptics shrug it off. The truth stays murky. This believer-skeptic split isn't random. Cognitive psychology links belief in anomalies to traits like high openness to experience, where people lean into unconventional ideas, or strong pattern recognition, which spots connections real or imagined. The need for cognitive closure pushes others to cling to tidy answers, whether it's just a comet or it's an alien probe. Scientists, despite their rational veneer, aren't immune. Once Avi Loeb staked his claim on 3i Atlas's potential artificiality, and his critics branded it sensationalism. Egos locked in. If Loeb's right, his detractors eat crow. If wrong, he's cemented as a fringe figure. Reputational stakes cloud objectivity. Broader context primes the pump. Phrases like zero drought in unrelated water. Resource papers seed crisis mindsets. When that lens meets an ambiguous space, oddity existential dread creeps in. X posts claiming 3i Atlas is siphoning energy, glowing ominously, or poised to drop microbes on Earth are pure fantasy, but they resonate. They tap archetypes: the skyborn stranger, the harbinger of upheaval, the world's end. Carl Jung, writing on UFOs in the 1950s, saw them not as nuts and bolts craft, but as projections of collective anxiety, symbols of the unknown, the other, or looming transcendence or doom. Whether 3i Atlas is a physical probe or a cosmic rock, its psychological weight is undeniable. It's a canvas for our fears and hopes, reflecting a species staring into the void, desperate for meaning. 3i Atlas slots perfectly into the archetype of the cosmic stranger, alien, enigmatic, arriving amid a world teetering on the edge of climate chaos, political rifts, and tech upheaval. Deciding how to handle potential non-human contact isn't primarily a scientific call. It's a political, social, and psychological minefield. If 3i Atlas were proven artificial, the response wouldn't be a cool-headed "let's study it." Expect panic, religious turmoil, economic shockwaves, and government scrambling to spin the narrative. That's why even with clear evidence, there'd be pressure to delay disclosure, to prep the public, to massage the message. But that caution breeds the very conditions for leaks, rumors, and distrust. This is the disclosure paradox: release too soon, and you spark chaos. Hold back, and you're branded as hiding the truth. There's no clean path. The best shot is open communication, lay out what's known, what's not, and what's being done. But institutions, especially governments, fumble this. Admitting uncertainty feels like admitting weakness. The 50% figure, over half of those aware of 3i Atlas actively digging for updates, shows intense engagement. This isn't idle curiosity. People are hooked, scouring forums, checking daily, peering skyward. Not since Shoemaker Levy 9 smashed into Jupiter in '94 has an astronomical event gripped the public like this. That was a visual fireworks show, no threat to Earth. 3i Atlas, barely a speck without a hefty telescope. Yet its pull is stronger because mystery trumps spectacle for sustained attention. Living in that ambiguity is mentally taxing. Our brains crave closure, burning energy to wrestle with uncertainty. That's why people cling to tidy narratives, even bunk ones. A false answer soothes. An open question gnaws. Conspiracy theories perverse as it sounds comfort by making the world make sense if you buy the premise. Preparing for first contact if that's where this leads demands psychological as much as technological readiness. If extraterrestrial intelligence is confirmed, the big questions won't be about engines or signals. They'll be existential. What's humanity's place in the cosmos? What does this mean for faith? For our future, these cut deep and answers vary by culture. Some will see prophecy fulfilled, others a threat, others a chance to transcend. The COVID-19 response offers a glimpse. A novel crisis fractured the public into trusters, skeptics, and conspiracy buffs with dueling narratives, shredding shared reality. If 3i Atlas is more than a comet, expect that chaos, but louder. Its extraterrestrial origin carries a mythic weight no virus could match. The mental health fallout of disclosure is barely discussed. Learning we're not alone, perhaps watched, perhaps judged, would hit hard. For some, it's exhilarating. The universe pulses with life, and we're part of a grander tapestry. For others, it's paralyzing loss of control, vulnerability, existential vertigo. Anxiety, depression, and dread could surge. Suicide rates might climb among those unmoored by the new reality. 3i Atlas, comet or not, is already a psychological mirror reflecting our hunger for meaning and our fear of the unknown. Contact with an extraterrestrial intelligence, if 3i Atlas delivers it, could ignite a surge in meaning and purpose, a call to rise. Improve and prove humanity's worth in a galactic arena, but it could also shatter the illusion of human centrality, a kind of death for worldviews that hold us as unique. Terror management theory, which probes how we grapple with mortality's shadow, offers a lens. Disclosure would force a collective reckoning, mourning the loss of our cosmic primacy while adapting to a broader reality. Not everyone would navigate this smoothly. Therapy, community, and support systems would be vital to process such existential upheaval. That we're even debating this now preemptively is telling. 3i Atlas might just be another comet fading into the void, rendering this mental rehearsal moot. Yet it's not for nothing. The exercise exposes our assumptions, fears, and hopes, forcing us to face questions we sidestep. What is humanity? What is consciousness? What's our cosmic role? Aliens aren't needed to wrestle with these, but they make the questions visceral, urgent in ways philosophy alone can't. Our brains humming on just 20 watts are pattern-hunting machines wired for survival through order. Spotting claw marks on a tree or storm clouds meant life or death on the savannah. But in today's world, sifting through cryptic astronomical data or ambiguous signals from 3i Atlas, that same wiring can mislead. Apophenia, seeing patterns in chaos, isn't a flaw, it's a feature. Our pattern detection threshold is deliberately low. Mistaking wind for a lion costs little. Missing a real lion costs everything. This bias tilts us toward inferring agency, intent, structure, even in noise. The Fibonacci sequence, like 5, 8, 13, allegedly pulsed by 3i Atlas, hits this instinct hard. It's woven into nature, sunflowers, pine cones, galaxy spirals. Because it's mathematically efficient, solving growth and packing problems. When Sarita ties 3i Atlas's rotation period to Fibonacci, or F, it feels profound, not arbitrary. But here's the snag. Once you hunt for Fibonacci, it's everywhere, often by chance. Our visual system rounds sloppy spirals to the golden ratio. Confirmation bias amplifies evidence that fits while dismissing what doesn't. Sarita's framework thrives on this, spotlighting 3i Atlas's rotation aligning with F2 but sidelining messier data. The October 13th Fatima link is similar. The 1917 miracle of the sun carries weight, but it's also just a date. Our brains, craving meaning, weave narratives from coincidence, especially when the world feels unsteady. 3i Atlas, with its mystery and timing, feeds this hunger, blurring the line between signal and noise. You're absolutely right. Had 3i Atlas hit a key orbital milestone on October 12th or 14th, someone would have dug up a different historical hook, like the White House cornerstone laid on October 13th, 1792, or any of countless mundane events. With enough digging, any date can be tied to something significant if you're hunting for synchronicity. That's the trap, cherry-picking patterns that fit a preconceived narrative, yet dismissing all patterns as noise risks missing real signals. The trick is separating the two, and there's no foolproof method. Statistical analysis offers a lifeline. If an event's odds are less than 1 in 1,000, it demands scrutiny, but stats can mislead without correcting for the multiple comparisons. Problem test 100 hypotheses, and 5 will seem significant at the 0.05 level by sheer chance. Overinterpret those and you're chasing ghosts. Take 3i Atlas's rotation period, 969.6 minutes, tying to Methuselah's 969 years. It's evocative, but the period's uncertainty plus 3 minutes or 0.5 hours means it could be 966 or 972 minutes. If it were 972, would we care? Probably not. 972 lacks cultural zing. We latch onto 969 because it resonates, sidelining misses and classic confirmation bias. Similarly, 969, Earth's orbital period yields 2.654 close to F2 2.618, a 1.4% difference. In engineering, 1% is a match. In numerology, 5% passes. This wiggle room lets almost any number connect to another with enough math and rounding. Sarita's hyperdimensional model leans hard into this flexibility, making its predictions seem tighter than they are. Religious overlays amplify the effect. 3i Atlas's perihelion near the Prophet Muhammad's birth, or its Great Pyramid angle alignment on Christmas, feels profound if you imbue religious dates with cosmic weight. From a secular lens, they're flukes. Earth's calendar is a human construct shift. Its start tweak its months and the alignments vanish. The cosmos doesn't care about our holidays. Yet here's the kicker: if an intelligence wanted to signal humanity using our calendar, then sacred symbols would be a masterstroke. It sidesteps scientific gatekeepers, striking straight at our psyche's craving for meaning. A 1420 MHz hydrogen line signal is elegant but cold. A Christmas-timed cosmic wink is visceral, unforgettable. If 3i Atlas is artificial, its timing could be less coincidence and more a deliberate nod to our cultural pulse, proof of intent, not just physics. A Christmas Day apparition of 3i Atlas at the Great Pyramid's angle is scientifically murky, but emotionally seismic. If the aim is to be noticed, remembered, or to spur action, the symbolic punch hits harder than cold data. This is why the 3i Atlas debate is so heated. Two valid but clashing epistemological lenses collide. Science demands reproducible data, mechanistic explanations, falsifiable predictions. Symbolism chases synchronicities, numerology, mythological echoes. They ask different questions, prize different evidence, and neither is wholly right nor wrong. Science uncovers physical laws but often misses meaning. Symbolism captures meaning but lacks rigor. Ideally, you'd blend them using science to test if symbolic patterns have physical roots, but that demands intellectual humility, a scarce commodity. Pareidolia, like apophenia, drives much of the noise. Claims of a cylindrical 3i Atlas and blurry Mars rover images scream pareidolia. Low-resolution shots, heavy processing, and stacked frames breed artifacts. Our visual cortex wired to spot edges, symmetry and geometry cues for tools. Predators or people fills in blanks, turning motion blur into a cigar-shaped craft. Avi Loeb's analysis of perseverance images points to exactly this. The comet's streak, not a structure. Cave art comparisons stretch thinner. Ex-post juxtaposing 3i Atlas's blur with ancient petroglyphs of oval shapes hint at past visits. Compelling as lore, flimsy as proof. Ancient art spans countless forms, some literal, some abstract. Cherry-picking a glyph to match a fuzzy photo is retroactive pattern hunting, not evidence. The dark forest hypothesis grips because it taps primal survival fears. A cosmic don't go out at night. It's the universe as a predatory jungle where silence equals survival, and every interstellar object like 3i Atlas is a potential threat until proven benign. Evolutionary psychology backs this. We're wired to fear the dark where predators once lurked. Scaling that to the cosmos feels instinctive. A benign or indifferent universe where 3i Atlas is just a comet lacks that visceral pull, it's dull. Humans crave narrative tension stakes. A lonely, meaningless universe is existentially grim. One where we're watched, threatened, or contacted is alive with purpose. Apocalyptic stories thrive. For this reason, the end of the world lends urgency weight. Social media algorithms amplify this. Posts sparking fear, curiosity, or awe, framing 3i Atlas as a mystery threat or revelation spread like wildfire. Outpacing dry spectroscopy data. A viral X post about remote viewing painting 3i Atlas as ancient alien tech siphoning energy is pure performance, whether the poster believes it speculates creatively or trolls. Its goal is reaction shares, comments, screenshots, not truth. Sensational narratives dominate because they engage emotions. Corrections lacking that spark flounder. This information asymmetry shapes the 3i Atlas saga, where memes outrun facts and the quest for meaning drowns out the mundane. Truth and attention don't always align. Something can be false yet spread like wildfire, or true, but overlooked. The solution lies in teaching critical thinking and media literacy, though these are slow fixes. As speculation around 3i Atlas surges, there's no quick way to slow the frenzy. People filter new information through their existing beliefs. If you believe 3i Atlas is a comet, every data point reinforces that view. If you think it's alien, every anomaly fuels your conviction. The middle ground, I don't know yet, feels uneasy and lacks social appeal. You can't rally a community around let's wait for more data. Communities thrive on shared certainty. This is why Avi's approach rating 3i Atlas a 6 on a 0 to 10 scale is effective. It embraces uncertainty while engaging the question seriously. It's a framework for adjusting beliefs as new evidence emerges. If 3i Atlas shows unexplained non-gravitational acceleration, it climbs to an 8. If it follows a predictable ballistic path and fades, it drops to a 4. It's dynamic and adaptable. Updating probability based on new data is how science should work, but it demands comfort with ambiguity, a trait most people, even some scientists, lack. The human need for closure pushes us toward premature conclusions. We want to know what 3i Atlas is. Now, not in December when it emerges from behind the sun, or in February when juice data arrives. This impatience breeds reliance on incomplete evidence. Strong opinions form on shaky ground because they feel better than uncertainty. Once set, these views are hard to shift. Changing your mind feels like admitting fault, which stings the ego. So people cling to their stance even when new evidence suggests otherwise. This isn't a flaw in human cognition. It's a feature. Pattern-seeking, emotional reasoning, confirmation bias, and social dynamics are adaptive traits that work well in most contexts. But they're tuned for a world of immediate threats in small face-to-face communities, not global information networks or ambiguous astronomical events. We're running ancient software on modern hardware, and the glitches are clear. We see patterns that don't exist, miss ones that do, divide into tribes and struggle to hold nuanced views. The question with 3i Atlas is whether the patterns people see are real or just artifacts of how our minds work. Psychology can't answer that. It requires physics, astronomy, and data. But understanding why we're drawn to certain interpretations, why symbols resonate more than statistics, why coincidences feel like fate, that's valuable. It fosters skepticism of our own certainty. It reminds us that the first explanation that feels right is often wrong. It prepares us for the possibility that we might be overinterpreting noise, or underinterpreting signals, seeing aliens where there are comets, or missing aliens because we're wedded to the idea that comets are all we'll find. Every major anomaly sparks a spectrum of theories from plausible to outlandish, and 3i Atlas is no exception. Its speculation may be unmatched in variety. Ancient alien gods, biblical prophecy, government cover-ups, AI decoded messages from space-staged invasions, and links to everything from the Knights Templar to the Philadelphia experiment. Some theories stem from earnest attempts to interpret odd data. Others are creative fiction, while a few might brush against truths too strange for mainstream dismissal. Take the viral claim from late September about Chilean scientists. Posts across platforms allege that using Atlas telescope data and AI, they decoded a message from 3i Atlas. We're on our way. We've been watching you. Don't be afraid. We're going to be there soon. It also claimed the probe was already communicating with global leaders kept secret from the public. The story exploded thousands of shares, YouTube videos, sensational headlines. It's almost certainly false. No credible source backs it. The original post lacks specifics, no scientist names, no papers, no press releases. It's textbook viral fiction. Yet it's spread because it's psychologically compelling. It soothes fear. Don't be afraid. Validate suspicion. We've been watching you and creates urgency. We're going to be there soon. These elements resonate with people primed by months of speculation. Whether it's true matters less than whether it feels true. The notion of secret communications with global leaders taps into a potent strain of conspiracy, thinking the belief that governments hold hidden truths accessible only to an elite few. This is disclosure with a capital D. The idea that extraterrestrial contact has already happened managed covertly to prevent panic, economic collapse, or religious upheaval. In this narrative, public denials are predictable. Admitting the truth would unravel society, so leaders prepare in secret coordinate responses and drip feed a controlled story to the masses. Is this happening with 3i Atlas? Likely not. Yet the fact that Stephen Miller was publicly asked on national television whether the president had been briefed shows this idea has breached mainstream discourse. That question wouldn't have surfaced if it seemed absurd. The journalist deemed it legitimate, marking a subtle but significant shift. The Overton window, the range of acceptable political discussion has widened. Extraterrestrial contact, once fringe, now lingers on the edge of serious consideration for some audiences. Carrie Cassidy and Project Camelot have leaned heavily into 3i Atlas, framing it as the return of the Anunnaki. For the uninitiated, the Anunnaki are deities from ancient Sumerian mythology reinterpreted by figures like Zecharia Sitchin as extraterrestrial beings who visited Earth long ago, allegedly engineering humans. Sitchin's work, based on his readings of cuneiform texts, claims the Anunnaki hailed from Nibiru, a planet with a highly elliptical orbit swinging through the inner solar system every few thousand years. Cassidy asserts 3i Atlas is either Nibiru or a related craft heralding the return of Marduk, a Babylonian god tied to Jupiter in later myths. This weaves into prophetic beliefs that ancient texts foresaw this moment. David Icke's mathematical analysis is often cited as evidence. Orbital harmonics, Fibonacci relationships, and biblical numerology supposedly confirm 3i Atlas follows a course known to ancient civilizations. Mythologically, it's a gripping tale. Evidentiarily, it's speculation piled on speculation. Mainstream Assyriologists reject Sitchin's translations, arguing he misread terms, and oppose an extraterrestrial lens on texts with simpler meanings. A planet like Nibiru, if real, would exert detectable gravitational effects. No massive body with an eccentric orbit disrupting the solar system has been observed. Still, absence of evidence isn't proof of absence. For believers, mainstream dismissal of Sitchin only fuels suspicions of a cover-up. Another theory posits 3i Atlas as an alien mothership carrying Gardner probes, a sophisticated take on panspermia. Unlike accidental seeding of organic molecules, this suggests deliberate life spreading. 3i Atlas could deploy smaller probes to planets and moons, planning life, or preparing environments for future habitation. Joe's paper likens 3i Atlas to a dandelion scattering seeds, a vivid image of a cosmic flower, spreading genetic material across star systems. This isn't as outlandish as it sounds. For a civilization unable to travel at relativistic speed, sending automated Gardner probes is logical. These probes move slowly, taking centuries or millennia to reach targets, but once there, they terraform, seed, and prepare worlds. By the time the civilization masters faster travel, the planets are ready. It's a long-term strategy plausible with technology just beyond our own, though its feasibility hinges on a civilization's willingness to commit to such vast timescales. On Reddit, a November-December invasion countdown reflects collective anxiety distilled into a ticking clock. Threads obsessively track the days until 3i Atlas emerges from behind the sun, often framed in apocalyptic terms. This isn't just speculation, it's a shared emotional outlet amplifying fears and hopes about what 3i Atlas might reveal. Will 3i pass an Atlas maneuver? Will it deploy probes? Will Earth be targeted? These questions fuel the speculation, driven partly by Loeb's calculations on potential Earth intercept windows, and partly by the dark forest framing. If 3i Atlas is hostile, late November or early December is when we'd learn the truth. The countdown builds communal tension, a collective vigil for the big reveal. Psychologically, this mirrors end-times cults fixated on doomsday dates for apocalypse or rapture. When the moment passes uneventfully, believers either ditch the idea or pivot. The timeline was off, but the prophecy holds. Or it unfolded spiritually, not visibly. These interpretive loopholes let any outcome fit, shielding the belief from outright disproof. If 3i Atlas does nothing out of the ordinary except claims its biding time finished its task unseen or been censored from view, the narrative turns unfalsifiable, ousting it from science but preserving its emotional grip. Mystery objects in Earth orbit unlisted as spacecraft form another staple claim. Amateur astronomers wielding tracking software occasionally flag items missing from public catalogs. These might be classified military satellites, uncatalogued debris, or observational glitches. Yet amid 3i Atlas hype, they're recast as probes. If 3i Atlas shed subcraft months back before scrutiny peaked, those could now orbit Earth spying undetected. Hard evidence none. Satellite trackers are meticulous. True anomalies would spark documentation and debate. Still, the idea endures, proving a negative like absent cloaked probes is fiendishly tough. The Vandenberg Air Force Base Red Square UFO from October 14, 2003, 22 years ahead of the 2025 Fatima anniversary, offers another numerological hook Sarita exploits. That day, witnesses including military personnel reported a massive red square craft hovering near the base. It was never officially explained. Linking it to 3i Atlas demands accepting that the same intelligence has operated near Earth for decades, sporadically showing itself with the 22-year span holding deep meaning. In Sarita's view, it ties to harmonic frequencies and Fatima symbolism. October 14th falls one day after October 13th, making this numerology at its most elastic. With enough wiggle room, many events connect. For those already seeing patterns, each link bolsters conviction. It forms a web of meaning where threads reinforce one another. Tug one and the rest tighten. This resilience comes at the cost of testability. If all is linked, no single fact can break the chain. The Jeffrey Epstein files distraction theory takes a darker turn. It suggests intelligence agencies seeded the 3i Atlas story to eclipse politically explosive revelations. The timing raises eyebrows. 3i Atlas discovered in July, Epstein documents surfacing nearby. News cycles clashed for dominance. Here cosmic events become weapons in information warfare. Need a scandal buried. Unleash something sensational to hijack headlines. Avi Loeb countered this head-on, noting, 3i Atlas is a tangible object anyone with a solid telescope can observe. It stands apart from earthly intrigue. Its discovery overlapping other news. Mere coincidence. Yet the idea lingers, suiting a mindset where randomness is illusion elites orchestrate all, and surface stories mask hidden depths. Living in that reality drains, but it tempts with the thrill of being awake while others slumber. Project Bluebeam reigns as the ultimate fake alien invasion plot. Conceived by journalist Serge Monast in the 1990s, it alleges global elites will simulate extraterrestrial contact via holograms, cutting-edge aircraft, and media sleight of hand. The aim: forge a unified threat to usher in world government centralized power and eroded freedoms. In this script, 3i Atlas serves as groundwork, a real object twisted to prime the public for the hoax. When phony aliens materialize, belief follows, built on months of 3i Atlas buzz. The theory demands near godlike coordination among rival powers, improbable amid real-world fractures. Still, it clicks by absorbing anomalies, evasive government statements, narrative control for Bluebeam, delayed data time to fabricate. Evidence fits either way, real quirks follow the plan. Their absence proves. It's seamless. A closed loop. The notion of staged disclosure through gradual leaks holds water even sans Bluebeam. If authorities held proof of alien life or tech, abrupt revelation would chaos ensues. Better a drip feed hints, speculation fuel ambiguous releases. This acclimates the public. By confirmation, its shrug-worthy most already suspected. Normalization creeps in, not via irrefutable evidence but relentless exposure. 3i Atlas, whatever its true nature, acts as a milestone easing the concept that interstellar visitors could be artificial into the mainstream. Is the normalization of 3i Atlas as a potential artificial object accidental or deliberate? Occam's razor leans accidental. It's likely a comet with odd traits overinterpreted by eager minds. But Occam's razor is a heuristic, not a rule. The simplest explanation isn't always true, especially when intelligence, human or otherwise, is involved. A probe disguised as a comet or data released sluggishly to temper reactions could mimic the simple story, just a comet, just slow bureaucracy. Yet these could mask deeper truths. Distinguishing real conspiracies from pattern chasing and randomness is the crux. History confirms some conspiracies, MK Ultra, Watergate, Tuskegee, where governments hid, manipulated, or lied. But most conspiracy theories falter. The trick is developing filters to catch genuine plots without swallowing fiction. This demands dual skepticism. Question official narratives, but also doubt alternative ones. Most people pick a side, blind trust or blanket distrust, neither optimal. For 3i Atlas, the best approach is to wait for data while holding multiple possibilities. It's probably a comet 90%, maybe a probe 5% perhaps, an exotic natural object 4%, or even a hoax 1%. Adjust as evidence emerges, maneuvers spike artificial to 80%. Natural fragmentation pushes comet to 99%. This keeps thinking agile without abandoning reason. With 3i Atlas obscured behind the sun and data-delayed, flexibility is the only honest stance. Every major anomaly spawns theories from plausible to outlandish, and 3i Atlas is no outlier. Its speculative range may be unmatched. Ancient alien gods, biblical prophecy, government cover-ups, AI decoded cosmic messages, staged invasions, and ties to everything from the Knights Templar to the Philadelphia experiment. Some stem from earnest data grappling, others are creative fiction. A few might grace truths too bizarre for mainstream dismissal. Consider the late September viral claim about Chilean scientists. Posts across platforms allege they used Atlas telescope data and AI to decode a message from 3i Atlas. We're on our way. We've been watching you. Don't be afraid. We're going to be there soon. It also claimed secret communications with global leaders. The story exploded thousands of shares, YouTube frenzy, breathless headlines. Yet it's almost certainly false. No credible source confirms it. No scientist names papers or press releases surface. It's viral fiction engineered to spread. Its power lies in psychological precision, soothing fear. Don't be afraid. Validating suspicion. We've been watching and stoking urgency. We're going to be there soon. For those primed by months of 3i Atlas hype, truth matters less than the feeling of truth. The notion of secret communications with global leaders strikes at a core vein of conspiracy lore. The conviction that governments hoard forbidden knowledge funneled to a shadowy elite beyond public reach. This is disclosure with a capital D, the premise that extraterrestrial contact is already underway, orchestrated in silence to stave off chaos. In this lens, official denials are scripted theater. Of course they scoff at the unusual, admitting it could shatter economies, ignite religious schisms, unleash mass panic. Instead they scheme behind closed doors, schooling heads of state, sinking global strategies and spooning out a sanitized tale to the masses. Is this unfolding with 3i Atlas? Almost certainly not. Yet the fact that Stephen Miller, White House Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy, was cornered on national TV about whether the president had been briefed signals how deeply the notion has seeped into mainstream chatter. That probe wouldn't have aired if it reeked of lunacy. The reporter saw it as fair game, a marker of real traction. This pivot from margins to murmurings matters. It nudges the Overton window, the spectrum of politically palatable talk ever wider. Extraterrestrial encounters once taboo, now flirt with legitimacy for swaths of viewers. Carrie Cassidy and Project Camelot have dissected 3i Atlas at length, casting it as the Anunnaki's homecoming. For the uninitiated, the Anunnaki are gods from Sumerian lore, recast by fringe scholars like Zecharia Sitchin as ancient starfarers who seeded humanity through genetic tinkering. Sitchin's takes on cuneiform tablets posit their origin on Nibiru, a rogue world locked in a razor-thin elliptical path that grazes our solar system every few millennia. Cassidy's Angle 3i Atlas is Nibiru reborn, or its escort vessel, and Marduk Babylon's supreme deity later fused with Jupiter's myths, is staging a comeback. This latches onto prophetic strands positing that dusty scrolls foresaw this ingress, and were living the fulfillment. David Sarita's math-heavy breakdowns fuel the fire. Orbital resonances, Fibonacci ties, biblical numerics all allegedly lock in that 3i Atlas traces a fated route etched in lost civilization star charts. Mythically, it's a tapestry of epic allure. Evidentiary, it's a tower of conjecture teetering on surmise. Sitchin's translations face rejection from mainstream Assyriologists who argue he misread key terms, grafting an extraterrestrial narrative onto texts with simpler meanings. A planet like Nibiru, if real, would ripple gravitational effects we detect. No massive body with an eccentric orbit periodically rattling the inner solar system has been observed. Yet absence of evidence isn't proof of absence. For believers, science's dismissal of Sitchin only deepens suspicions of a cover-up. The alien mothership carrying Gardner probes refines the panspermia hypothesis. Instead of chance organic molecule dispersal, it suggests deliberate seeding. 3i Atlas arrives, releases smaller probes to planets and moons, either planting life directly or prepping environments for future habitation. Loeb's paper floats the idea of 3i Atlas acting like a dandelion, scattering seeds, a vivid image of a cosmic flower, sowing genetic code across star systems. This isn't as wild as it seems. For a civilization unable to travel at relativistic speeds, automated Gardner probes are logical. They crawl through space, taking centuries or millennia to reach targets, then terraform, seed, and cultivate worlds. By the time the civilization masters faster travel, the planets are ready. It's a long-term play, feasible with tech just beyond ours, though its commitment to vast timescales raises questions. Reddit's November-December invasion countdown channels collective dread into a ticking clock. Threads obsess over the days until 3i Atlas emerges from the sun's shadow steeped in apocalyptic tones. Will it maneuver deploy probes? Target Earth, fueled by Loeb's Earth intercept calculations, and Dark Forest fears the timeline pins late November or early December as the moment of truth. This shared tension mirrors end-times cults awaiting precise dates for apocalypse or rapture. When the deadline passes quietly, believers split. Some abandon the idea. Others pivot. The date was off, but the premise holds. Or, it happened spiritually, not physically. These flexible frameworks absorb any outcome, preserving the core belief. If 3i Atlas behaves, normally claims will emerge that its biding time completed its mission covertly, or was concealed. Unfalsifiable, it drifts from science but retains psychological potency. Unlisted objects in Earth orbit fuel recurring claims. Amateur astronomers using tracking software spot anomalies. Absent from public satellite catalogs, potentially classified military satellites, uncatalogued debris, or observational errors. In the 3i Atlas context, these become probes. If subcraft were deployed months ago before scrutiny intensified, they could now orbit Earth watching. No hard evidence supports this. Satellite trackers are rigorous. True anomalies would spark analysis. Yet the idea persists. Disproving an invisible cloaked probe is nearly impossible. The Vandenberg Air Force Base Red Square UFO from October 14, 2003. 22 years before the 2025 Fatima anniversary offers another numerological link Sarita ties in. Witnesses, including military personnel, reported a massive red square object hovering near the base unexplained to this day. The Vandenberg Air Force Base sighting on October 14, 2003, where multiple witnesses, including military personnel, reported a massive red square object in the sky, remains unexplained. Linking it to 3i Atlas requires believing a single intelligence has been active near Earth for decades, selectively revealing itself with a 22-year gap to the 2025 Fatima anniversary carrying weight. In David Sarita's framework, this ties to harmonic frequencies and Fatima symbolism, hinging on October 14th, being one day after October 13th, a stretch of numerology at its most elastic. With enough flexibility, any events can be woven together. For those already seeing patterns, each new link strengthens the web of meaning where every thread props up the others. pull one and the rest tighten, making the theory resilient but untestable. If everything connects, nothing can disprove the connection. The Jeffrey Epstein files distraction theory takes a darker tack. It claims the 3i Atlas story was seeded by intelligence agencies to smother politically damaging revelations. The timing 3i Atlas discovered in July, Epstein documents surfacing concurrently fuel suspicion. Competing news cycles suggest a ploy bury a scandal by unleashing something cosmic to steal headlines. Avi Loeb countered this, emphasizing 3i Atlas is a physical object trackable by anyone with a decent telescope existing beyond terrestrial politics. Its discovery aligning with other news, mere coincidence. Yet the theory endures, fitting a worldview where nothing is random. Elites pull every string, and surface stories cloak deeper truths. This mindset exhausts but seduces, offering the allure of being awake while others sleep. Project Bluebeam looms as the granddaddy of fake alien invasion theories. Proposed by journalist Serge Monist in the 1990s, it alleges global elites will orchestrate a sham extraterrestrial contact using holograms, advanced aircraft, and media manipulation. The AIM craft, a unifying threat to justify a world government centralized control and eroded freedoms. In this scenario, 3i Atlas is a real object misrepresented to prime the public for a staged reveal. When the aliens appear, months of 3i Atlas hype ensure belief. The theory demands near omnipotent coordination among fractious global powers, which strains plausibility. Yet it resonates by explaining anomalies, evasive government statements, delayed data, all part of the script feeding a narrative that thrives on suspicion. The question of why governments appear evasive about 3i Atlas fuels suspicion, particularly in the context of theories like Project Bluebeam. In this narrative, authorities are orchestrating a grand deception, weaving a fabricated alien encounter to serve a hidden agenda. Delayed data releases. They're buying time to concoct evidence. Anomalies in 3i Atlas's behavior. Part of the scripted spectacle. No anomalies. Proof the script is running flawlessly. This theory forms a closed loop where every outcome, evidence or lack thereof, bolsters the narrative, making it nearly impossible to debunk in the eyes of believers. Yet even setting aside Bluebeam's theatrics, the concept of staged disclosure holds some plausibility. If governments possessed concrete evidence of extraterrestrial life or technology, a sudden unfiltered announcement could destabilize societies, disrupt economies, and ignite cultural or religious upheaval. A more calculated approach, releasing cryptic hints, fostering public speculation, and dribbling out ambiguous data, would acclimate people gradually. By the time an official statement arrives, it feels almost redundant. The public has already been primed to half believe in alien possibilities. This is how normalization operates, not through irrefutable proof, but through persistent, subtle exposure. 3i Atlas, regardless of its true nature, serves as a catalyst, nudging the idea that interstellar objects might be artificial into the realm of mainstream consideration. The lingering question is whether this shift is accidental or a deliberate act of narrative engineering. Occam's razor tilts toward the accidental. 3i Atlas is most likely a comet, its peculiar traits exaggerated by human tendency to seek meaning in the unknown. Comets are notoriously variable. Some exhibit unexpected brightness. Others display odd trajectories due to outgassing or fragmentation. Reading too much into these quirks is a natural human impulse, but it doesn't mean there's more to the story. However, Occam's razor is a heuristic, not an absolute law. The simplest explanation often holds, but not always, especially when intelligence, whether human or non-human, enters the equation. A probe could be designed to mimic a comet's appearance to evade detection. Governments might withhold or stagger data to manage public reaction, not just due to bureaucratic inertia. These strategies would make the simple explanation, "it's just a comet, and officials are just slow," seem correct, even if a deeper truth lurks beneath. The challenge lies in separating genuine conspiracies from the human brain's penchant for finding patterns in randomness. History offers stark reminders that conspiracies can be real. MKUltra's mind control experiments, Watergate's political espionage. The Tuskegee syphilis study all involved coordinated secrecy, manipulation, and outright deception by powerful institutions. These cases validate the instinct to question authority. Yet the vast majority of conspiracy theories collapse under scrutiny built on flimsy connections or outright fabrications. The trick is developing a mental filter sharp enough to catch real plots without getting snagged on every tantalizing but false narrative. This requires a disciplined dual skepticism, questioning official accounts while also interrogating alternative stories with equal rigor. Most people, however, gravitate toward extremes, either trusting authorities implicitly or rejecting them outright. Neither approach is ideal, as both sacrifice nuance for comfort. With 3i Atlas, the most rational strategy is to hold fire until more data surfaces, while keeping multiple possibilities in play. It's probably a comet with a 90% likelihood given the prevalence of such objects and their known variability, but there's a 5% chance it's an artificial probe, a possibility bolstered by its anomalous traits, and the precedent of objects like Oumuamua. A 4% chance suggests an exotic natural phenomenon, perhaps a comet with properties we've yet to fully understand, and a slim 100% allows for an elaborate hoax or psyop, though the coordination required stretches credulity. As new evidence arrives, these probabilities shift. If 3i Atlas executes a clear maneuver defying natural orbital mechanics, the artificial odds leap to 80%. If it fragments or fades as a typical comet, the comet likelihood climbs to 99%. This probabilistic approach keeps thinking flexible, grounded in reason without locking into premature certainty. Right now, with 3i Atlas obscured behind the sun and data releases delayed, whether by design, technical limitations, or bureaucratic sluggishness, flexibility remains the only intellectually honest stance. The object's current invisibility amplifies uncertainty, and the absence of fresh data leaves room for speculation to run wild. Embracing this ambiguity while maintaining a framework to update beliefs as evidence emerges guards against the traps of both blind trust and reckless theorizing. Every major and astronomical anomaly ignites a spectrum of theories from the scientifically grounded to the outright bizarre, and 3i Atlas is no exception. The sheer diversity of speculation surrounding this object may be unprecedented, spanning ancient alien gods, biblical prophecies, government cover-ups, AI-decoded interstellar messages, staged invasions, and even tenuous links to historical enigmas like the Knights Templar or the Philadelphia experiment. Some theories reflect sincere attempts to grapple with puzzling data, while others are imaginative fiction crafted for attention or belief. A few, however, might skirt uncomfortably close to truths the mainstream is too quick to dismiss. Take the viral claim from late September about Chilean scientists. Posts across platforms allege that using Atlas telescope data and AI analysis, they decoded a message from 3i Atlas: "We're on our way. We've been watching you. Don't be afraid. We're going to be there soon." The claim further suggested that the object was already in contact with global leaders, with communications shielded from public view. The story spread like wildfire, thousands of shares, YouTube videos, and breathless headlines. Yet it's almost certainly false. No credible source verifies it. No scientist names research papers or official statements have surfaced. It bears all the hallmarks of viral fiction designed to hook an audience primed for cosmic drama. But its traction reveals why it resonated. The message is psychologically pitch perfect. It soothes fear. Don't be afraid. Validates suspicion. We've been watching you, and injects urgency. We're going to be there soon. These elements align precisely with the hopes and anxieties of those immersed in months of 3i Atlas speculation. Whether the claim is true matters less than its emotional truth. It feels right to those yearning for cosmic answers. This interplay of fear, validation, and anticipation underscores the power of narrative over evidence in shaping belief, especially when the unknown looms large.